I like filming this like random stuff so you guys can see, or at least so I can see in the future that like I was very unprepared. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing one of my first, actually it's not my first, but it's the first video I'm making of this new YouTube era that I'm joining, of me actually being consistent for more than 2 videos. This video is something that I have struggled with for so long, and I know that a lot of my friends have struggled with, and I honestly feel like a lot of women and even men struggle with this just in our relationships in general, and that is all about standards. As humans, we need community, and I feel like with social media, at least I feel more disconnected from people than ever. Even if I do talk to people online, I just don't feel like it's the same. And I think when you constantly see people living a certain lifestyle and you see other people's relationships and you see what other people are doing and other people's accomplishments and how everybody else looks, you just feel almost more alone and more separate. I feel like that is a main reason why it is that we accept certain people and certain behavior in our life, is to fight the feelings of being alone. So this video is going to be how to raise your standards. In my last relationship, I had 0 standards at all. I had 0 boundaries. I didn't even know what that was. And when I tell you guys, me and my ex literally broke up every single weekend. We were always fighting. Every time something happened, we'd just get over it. I'd forgive him, he'd come back, and we'd start the cycle all over again. And that is because I had no standards in the relationship of what behavior I was going to accept and what behavior I was not going to accept. Unfortunately, it wasn't until I entered a new relationship did I realize that me not having any standards was literally killing my relationship. Like, in the beginning, I swear to you guys, I was a mess, he was a mess, we were a mess, so chaotic. When you don't know what you need, not only are you always going to be unfulfilled no matter what the other person does, but you're also just going to be super resentful over things that you didn't even know you would be resentful over. So in order to just have happy and healthy relationships, it's very important to figure out who you are, what you need, and develop standards. But unfortunately, some of our standards are literally 10 feet under. We need to raise them a little bit. Actually, like a lot. I'm gonna rant a lot in this video, so cheers, grab your coffee. I got these Christmas glasses I'm literally obsessed with. They're from Anthropology. And yeah, let's hop right into it. Starting with number 1, men respect standards, so you better go get some. I'm sure you've heard this before, but you really do teach people how you want to be treated. How is someone going to know what your needs are and where your boundaries lie if you do not tell them? And I've had to swallow my pill of pride, coming to realization that common courtesy is not that common and common sense is really not that common. Whether you think it's something you should be expressing or not, I always go with the fact that you should express it, because then nobody can turn around and be like, well, you never told me, I didn't know. Come on. The reason why standards are so important is because it's going to weed out some of the bullshit. If you go up to a man and you're like, hey, you know what, it's going to take being in a real relationship with me for me to have sex with you, he's either going to A, pursue you properly and hopefully treat you right, or B, he's going to leave and go find somebody easier. Having standards will literally save you so much time and energy wasted on somebody that is not for you to begin with. Why do you think that a Birkin costs so much? And before anyone gets into the leather and the manufacturing, yes, that is true, but why do you think it costs significantly more than a Chanel bag or a Louis Vuitton bag? It has I wouldn't say nothing to do with some of the materials and manufacturing, but a lot of it is honestly just a marketing strategy, and you have to think of dating as a marketing strategy. If you put yourself on the market for free, that anyone can have access to you, you have no standards, people can treat you, walk all over you, however you want, and just take advantage of you, that's exactly what they're going to do. Chanel put all their bags for free tomorrow, I guarantee you everyone would go grab it. But what is keeping people from going and getting a Chanel bag? What is keeping people from going and getting a Birkin bag? Because it's exclusive. Why is it exclusive? Because it's so expensive and not everybody can go out and spend $10,000 to $25,000 on a purse. Before anybody comes at me, it is truth that we do value things that are more expensive because of the exclusivity strategy. And even for little things, it's the same reason why when we go to Target and you see Neutrogena eye makeup remover and then you see the Up and Up brand, I think that's what it's called, or maybe I don't know, maybe it's something else, but They're literally the same exact thing, and a lot of us will still go with the Neutrogena. Why? Because it's name branded and because it's more expensive, and we just value it, and we think that because it's priced higher and because it has a name that it's worth something more than what it might actually be. So when you tell a man that you have standards, he's either A, going to be like, oh, okay, this girl might be worth pursuing, maybe I should do that, and he'll either level up to meet you where you're at, or he'll be like, sorry, I don't really want to do that, and then he'll go find somebody else. If you're already in a relationship, you can still do a little revamping. I don't think there's anything wrong with giving your relationship a little makeover and getting some new standards. If your partner's really right for you, they will come meet you where your standards are. Now, I know that Andrew Tate compared us to children, so I'm going to compare men to dogs. Let's just say there's food on the table and you have your dog, and your dog goes to go get the food, and you let it, you don't punish it, you're just like, oh, okay, whatever, and then the dog does it again, and then you're just like, oh, okay, whatever, and then the dog does it again. You try to be like, no, I don't want that, and then the dog keeps doing it and doing it because you're not actually implementing any type of discipline with the dog. It's the same exact thing with men. You continue to allow somebody to push your boundaries, to go below your standards, and to disrespect you. The more that you continue to enable that behavior, the more they're going to do it. The more you keep letting things like that slide, the more they're going to do it. And the more you keep taking him back, the more that he's going to lose respect for you. It's very unfortunate, but we really don't appreciate things that we have. And we do this all the time with people, with material things, with the job we have, with the family we have, with our health, with just waking up every single day. We really take for granted most things in our life. So I think you also want to give some grace to the fact that we are still all human. And you know, if you're in a happy relationship with somebody and this is somebody you really, really love, sometimes life gets a little bit crazy. And sometimes, you know, we start to prioritize other things over our relationship. And I'm not saying that it's right or that it's inherently wrong, but it just happens sometimes. And sometimes you don't need to be like, oh, well, he can't meet my standards, so I'm leaving. And you just need to have a little push and a little conversation about it. So also understand if this video is for you or if you just need to have, you know, a little combo to help settle things, because I don't want to sit here and promote you just being like, oh, if he does one thing wrong, then I'm leaving. This is if you have been in toxic relationships before. This is if you have really let people cross over your boundaries. You really don't have any standards and you don't even really know where to start. This is learning how to learn yourself and learn yourself in dating and learn not only the type of partner that you want, but the type of partner that you are. Now, with that all being said, the next step is to get clear on what you want and become that person. Until you know what you want, nobody will know what you want, and you'll continue to take things in thinking they're absolutely wonderful and they're actually shit. My mom likes to call this taking in the stray dog. She's like, why do you always take in stray dogs? Like, I don't know. I take in stray dogs literally and figuratively. I think a lot of times we focus so much on other people and what they do wrong and where they're lacking in their life and where they're lacking in the relationship. But we need to learn how to take the mirror up to ourselves and see when we actually have a lot to work on. I know I went into my last relationship thinking I was super healed and, you know, I haven't been in a relationship in a while and like I've been working so much on myself, but you really grow through relationships. I think relationships are a really good way for you to see where it is in your life that you might have not seen before that you really do need healing. So I had really no idea that I had anxious attachment. I always kind of stayed on the side of avoidant, but for some reason, with my age, I've become anxious about certain things. And I also think social media has a lot to do with it and just how the world is these days. Really need to look at yourself and see if you are the type of person that the person that you are looking for would want to be with. What I mean by this, if you want somebody who's religious, who's like super into Jesus and goes to church every Sunday, but you haven't been to church in 7 years, come on. If you want someone who's kind and loving, you better be kind and loving. If you want someone who's intelligent, you better be intelligent. If you want someone who's fit, you better be in the gym working on your own self and your own health. I see this a lot with club girls, and the reason why I'm saying this is because I used to be one of those girls. The girl that would be at the club all night long, be meeting all these people, and then wonder why I can't get a respectful man or why I can't get a boyfriend. Sometimes it really comes down to the person that you are and the things that you do that other people and the person that you might think you want to be with wouldn't want to deal with. I used to talk to this guy who was a club manager in Miami, and literally this man would be getting home when I'm waking up to go to the gym. So I was like, listen, this is just not gonna work. Like, our lifestyles are way too different, and like there is no way you're sitting here being like, yeah, I want, you know, a respectful girlfriend when you're literally at the club all night long. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with being a club manager. I'm just saying it is very important to find somebody who's like you, and it is very important to find somebody whose lifestyle, values, and the things that they even just enjoy are similar to yours. I'm so against the opposites attract. They do not attract. I do not want to be with somebody, you know, who doesn't take care of themselves, because I take care of myself. I don't want to be with somebody who isn't down to go, I don't know, apple picking on a Saturday afternoon, like, and who literally just wants to sit at home and be miserable all day. That's not my vibe, okay? So find people who are similar to you, please. It'll save you so much trouble of trying to navigate and change people when you can literally just learn to find people with similar interests and similar values with you. But you have to be that person as well. Being completely honest, I love hopping on the I Hate Men train. It is my favorite ride to go on. But if I can really tell you guys something, it's not all men. And that pains me to say, you know, because I've had a lot of dog experiences with men. I've had a lot of issues with men and my relationships with men because of just things in society and just people being freaking crazy these days. But if I have to be honest with you guys, it's not all them. I've met some wicked women. I have been a wicked woman. I think it's important for us girls to really sit here and be like, okay, where can I improve myself so I can be a better partner? Because when you improve yourself and you're growing, naturally, if your partner's not growing, you'll distance. It's important to become the person that people who you want to be around would want to be around as well. Step number 3 is to actually get the standards and figure out where the standards lie. We have a little diagram because I figured, you know, this would be easier to show you this way. Starting with the bottom, we have the bare minimum. These are things that you absolutely need. They are non-negotiables. If someone cannot even hit the bare minimum, they gotta go. It's like canceled out immediately, okay? We're not doing the whole, maybe they're movable. No, they're not. They're rock solid. They're cemented there, okay? Okay. Now we have the gray area. This is where you're gonna decide what you want in a man and what you need in a man. These are very different things. A lot of times, the physical attributes go into a want. The money attributes, you know, they can go into a want. I just want to preference that whatever your needs are, whatever your bare minimum is, whatever your gray area is, whatever you need and what you want in a man, these are all up to you. This is going to be a personal decision. What I need is going to be different than what you need. What I want is going to be different than what you want, and it should be different. I don't think everyone should. If we all had the same exact type, then we would not be able to procreate, because not everyone, I'm sure, would meet the standards of what we want. So let this be an individual thing that you really sit there with yourself and figure out what it is that's going to make you feel the best, that you really want out of this life and out of relationships. And for God's sake, do not let some bum-ass bitch on a podcast tell you what your standards should be. Now we have the high standards. I like to think of the high standards as a lot of the stuff that you see on Instagram. This can include things like, how do you want them to support you? Do you want flowers every single week? Do you want them to buy you a bag every single month? How do you want them to deal with you when you're upset about something? Do your futures align? What are they doing in their life? And for the people who are already in relationships, you have to understand what you're asking for. If you're 21, even 22, I'm 22, and I would never ask a 22-year-old boy to go buy me Cartier every single week. And I see girls who will go out and they'll ask their boyfriends who are young, like fresh out of college, being like, oh, well, why can't you financially support me? You must not be a man. You must be feminine. You this and that. What? That's crazy to me. That's where you really have to see, who are you asking? What are you asking for, and does it align with them? If you're with a guy who's only making $100K a year, he cannot buy you a yacht in Dubai. I'm sorry, it's just not happening. So instead of sitting there and getting all upset about it, if that's something that you really, really need in this lifetime, and you feel like if you don't get it, your life is going to be over and you're going to be resentful forever, just go find someone who could give that to you. I really needed to preface that, because it's just like, oh my goodness gracious. I would feel the pressure too. But I think your high standards are where you're going to get very descriptive, and where you're really going to see like the type of person that you want to be with, the type of treatment that you want, the princess treatment, okay? And princess treatment could mean something different for everybody. And the reason why I keep saying that is because what's princess treatment for one girl is not going to be princess treatment for me. Like, I won't really care about it. Like, I don't really care about getting flowers every single week. Like, yeah, it's nice, but it's not something that I'm like, I need this, otherwise I do not want to be with you. I'm more of like, who are you as a person, and how are you supporting me, and what are you doing to make me feel good? You need to realize who you're asking these questions to and who you're setting these standards with, because if you're sitting there with somebody who obviously is not navigating the relationship like you want to navigate the relationship, then maybe it's best you guys. This is what I told my mom. I said, make the list of the bare minimum, the gray area, and the high standards, and then stick to it. You're never going to get what you want when you keep compromising what is on your list. This is your life, and the relationships in your life are such an important factor. People can make you absolutely miserable. I have been made miserable because of relationships with friends, relationships with men. They are so crucial, and your relationship should be something you are so picky about because they can literally make or break you. And if you made your list and you're in a relationship, I want you to take your list and I want you to then write everything that your partner does, and I want you to compare the two, because then you'll really be able to see whether or not you're settling or whether you're with somebody that matches the type of life that you want to have. And that's going to be a really crazy realization, and I honestly wish you the best because I've done that list before for one of my exes. And I was like, oh my god, I hate this person. And you almost wake up and you're like, oh my god, the person that I thought I was with is not even real. Now, this is actually some advice from my dad, because one thing about my dad is if I'm having boy problems, like severe boy problems, he just gets it. Maybe because he's a man that he's just like, no, this is how you have to do it. But I asked him, I said, Dad, what is the easiest way to get over somebody? And he said, look at them for who they truly are. A lot of times we're with people that are not real. And that is a very sad reality, but we literally conjure up ideas of people and, you know, we put them on a pedestal and we think they're this like holy thing. And then when we really look at who we're with, we're like, oh my goodness gracious, what have I been doing with myself? If you want to raise your standards, you need to look at people for who they actually are and what they are known for. I'm not saying go ask opinions of every single person that you're with and go see what everybody has to say about them. I'm saying look for continuous patterns. If nobody has any good stories about the person you are with, that should raise a lot of red flags. If everyone is saying, oh my god, this person's so amazing, you know, they did all of this, they love kids, they have a dog, like, they're just so great, they're so kind, you know, they helped an old lady get across the road, whatever the case may be, they have all these things to say about them that are just so wonderful. Chances are they're a great person. Now, do I think people change in relationships? Yes, but you want to make sure that you're with somebody who people are actually proud of, and that's going to make you feel so much better. Trust me, when I've been with people who are just like, why are you with that person? It stings a little bit, and of course you shouldn't always care what people have to say, but I think you can save yourself the trouble when you're meeting somebody new to kind of test the waters. And I hope you guys are kind of understanding what my point is of this, that if everyone has the same story, that this person's a piece of shit, chances are the person's a piece of shit, okay? That's all I have to say. I think it's important to see who somebody is. Do they cherish family? What do they do? How do they spend their time? What direction are they going? Do they have a direction at all? Are they a city person or do they really like the countryside? It is so important to look at somebody and specifically look at character traits. Look at character traits and also look how they would fit into your life. Someone could be a great person. Like one of my other exes is a beautiful person, literally such an angel, but we are so different. So that doesn't mean that he's not a good person and that he's, you know, not worthy of being in any other relationship, but we wanted different things. We lived different lives and it was just never going to work. And one of us would have to compromise and it was just a no-go. So you have to look at the whole spectrum of who somebody is at their core and the direction that their life is going and see if that is something that you are willing to fit into yours. I love this quote, and more importantly, I love this book. So here is our first bedtime story. So get tucked in and just listen to what I have to say now. It is from The Mastery of Love by Don Miguel something. I don't know how to say his name, but I will put a picture of what the book looks like, and I'll also put pictures of the quotes that I am reading. Let's begin. When you meet a person just after the hello, she starts sending you information right away. She can hardly wait to share her dream with you. She opens herself even if she doesn't know she is doing it. It is so easy for you to see every person just the way she is. You don't need to lie to yourself. You can see what it is you are buying and you either want it or you don't. But you cannot blame the other person for being a dog or a cat or a horse. If you want a dog, then why are you getting a cat? If you want a cat, why would you get a horse or a chicken? You know the kind of man or woman that you want, the one that makes your heart sing, the one who is aligned with the way that you are, the one who loves you just as you are. Why set yourself up for something else? Why not get what you want? Why pretend to make someone fit what she is not? It doesn't mean you don't love her. It means you make a choice and say yes or no, because you love yourself also. You make a choice and you are responsible for your choices. Then if the choices are not working well, you do not blame yourself, you simply make another choice. Mic drop. So many times it's not what we're asking for, it's where we're asking it from. You're a material girl and you're asking for Venus roses and Chanel bags from a guy who's not materialistic, who's not really into those things. Chances are you're not going to get them because they're not going to be at the forefront of his mind. And if that's really important to you and that's a non-negotiable for you, you know, it's not going to work. It's not that you're asking for the wrong thing, you're asking the wrong guy. You need to find people who are aligned with you instead of finding people and then trying to change them into somebody that you want them to be. Not everyone is for you, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with you, and there's nothing really wrong with them either. You guys might just not be made for each other. You guys don't align, and that is completely okay. The most important thing is to focus on who a person is. Focus on their character and lead with that. The money, the looks, the lifestyle, all of that gets old, all of that goes away, and the only thing you're going to be left with is somebody and their character, so make sure that person aligns with you. And most importantly, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. Believe them. See, my garbage can open. That's confirmation. Believe them. If you're always with a guy that gives you the bare minimum, doesn't even give you the bare minimum, and you cry and you obsess over him, I'm sorry, sweetheart, but that's not on him. That is on you. If you have anxious attachment and you constantly are with people who are emotionally unavailable and you stay, that is a form of self-harm. You continue to deal with people who don't reciprocate all the love that you carry inside yourself, that is a form of self-harm. You need to make a change in your own life and take charge of your own life and the people that you allow to stay in spaces that they shouldn't be allowed to stay in. Take care of yourself, please. Please trust me. I have dealt with it for so many years with people. The most important thing you can do is to take care of yourself, and not allowing people who are not meant for you to stay, to get rid of them, is going to save you from so much heartbreak. Now, what you need to officially change your standards is two things. You need to change your self-concept and you need to change your appetite in men. These are both two very difficult things because they're literally programmed in our brain, and it's a narrative that we repeat to ourselves every single day, but I promise you, you can do it. The definition of self-concept, according to Google, is the individual's belief about himself or herself, including the person's attributes and who and what the self is. I was actually introduced to the concept of self-concept pretty recently, and it has literally changed my life because I think a lot of times we think we know who we are because we're just acting off of habit and impulse, but very few of us actually sit here and decipher like who we are and get to know ourselves and get to learn ourselves. And that is going to be the most important thing for you in this journey, is really learning yourself and learning everything that you need so that you can be in a healthy relationship. If you do not believe that you are worthy of a healthy relationship, you will not find one. If you don't believe that there's a guy out there who will support you, you will not find one. If you believe that all men are bad and they're the worst things ever and they ruin everything, that is all you're going to see in men. And trust me, I've been there before, where everything that I see is just negative and dark. Ow, that kind of hurt. But these are all stories that you reiterate in your brain every single day. These are the concepts that you tell yourself. And it really does come down to you as an individual. It does not have anything to do with looks. It doesn't have anything to do with money and success. At the end of the day, how you think about yourself is going to be the initial and only factor and dictator as to where your life is going to go and who's going to be in your life. I can make a whole video on self-concept, but just for the sake of time, I'm going to advise you that your homework for the week, which I honestly want to do with every self-development video I make because this is what my therapist does with me and I honestly think it's very helpful. So your homework for the week is going to be to deep dive into the beliefs that you have about yourself and really, really look at whether or not you believe you're deserving of a healthy relationship, whether you believe you deserve those flowers every single week, whether you believe that a man should come in and support you, or if you're like pushing it back and you don't want it or you don't think that you're worthy of it. It's hard when you've only been abused to believe that there is somebody out there who will not abuse you. But if you continue the pattern and continue the cycle, you're keeping the narrative alive every single day. The only way to kill the narrative and write a new one is to write a new self-concept. Secondly, you need to change your appetite with men. This one's hard, especially if you're a girl like me and you typically go for like the bad boys and the really bad boys sometimes. But you need to rewire your brain to literally be disgusted by men who give you not even the bare minimum, or men who even just give you the bare minimum. You need to be disgusted by men who treat you poorly. You need to be disgusted by men who don't answer your text messages in a timely manner. You need to be disgusted by men who just ditch plans with you and don't want to deal with it, or men who don't emotionally support you, who don't want to deal with your emotions, who don't want to be loving and caring. You need to be disgusted by men who don't follow through with their word, who don't have a direction, who don't know where they're going in life, who have absolutely like nothing going for them and blame everybody else. You need to be disgusted by men who don't take accountability. You need to be disgusted by narcissistic men. You need to be disgusted by emotionally unavailable men. You need to be disgusted by all the behaviors you don't want to no longer accept in your life. This is very similar to actually changing your appetite. When you constantly give yourself fast foods and sugary foods, that's what your body's going to crave. But when you start eating more healthy foods, although you might be like, this is kind of gross, over time, your body will start to crave those things. Instead of craving French fries, it'll start craving carrots. Trust me, I've done this before. In high school, I literally used to eat McDonald's every single day for 8 years. And I was pin thin because I was always tiny, but it was so unhealthy for me. But that's literally all I ate until I started eating healthy foods. And now my body has always craved healthy foods. It's the same thing with men. I've compared men to dogs. I've compared men to food. I wonder what other analogies I'll come up with. Overall, we get really scared, and I want you to give yourself the grace and patience for the times where you really didn't know better. Give yourself grace and compassion for the times where you lowered your standards because you didn't think that you can do better. That is completely okay. There is nothing wrong with understanding that you are in this trance of unworthiness. That is where you will actually be able to heal and recognize what it is that you need to do. If you're just sitting here like, oh, I believe I deserve that, I believe this and that, but it's not coming to you, there's obviously an energetic disconnect. So you need to see, do I really believe that? Or is there something subconsciously holding me back from the reality that I want to be living? And it's okay. We've all been in bad relationships before. They're great learning lessons. We've all dealt with shitty men. We've all dealt with shitty girls. We've all dealt with shit people, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. Do not shame yourself for being with trash people. That is exactly where you will learn what you don't want. And I think it's important not only to know what you do want, but also to know what you don't want. I think as women, we get in this loop of scarcity where we believe we won't find love again, we won't find the feeling again in somebody else, it's gonna be different, and we get super attached to one person even if they are treating us like shit because we don't see like how men see relationships, and women, they see in plentitude. They're like, oh, well, if I can't be with her, I can be with her. And there's this woman, and there's that woman, and there's this, and that. But us, we're more like, oh no. Like, we see scarcity over plentitude. And it's really why men like that, they run rampant with all these different women because it just fuels their ego. But us, we don't get the same dopamine rush from being with tons and tons of men. At least I would hope not. Yes, it is harder for you to find people when you raise your standards. Yes, it might feel more lonely for you to raise your standards, and you might go through periods of time where you're like, oh my God, I feel like I'm never gonna find love again. But I can promise you right now, there is nothing more lonely than sleeping next to a man that you know is not yours. Or better yet, there is nothing more lonely than sleeping next to a man who you know is not who you need to be with and will never be the person that you need in this life and is never going to give you the things that you really want in this life. And overall, there's nothing more lonely than being in a mediocre relationship. There's a lot of mediocre things in this life. Make love not one of them. Instead of focusing so much on finding love and finding a person, focus on you. Focus on becoming the person that you're meant to be. Focus on doing the things that you want to do out of this life. Focus on the places that you want to go. You don't need to be in a relationship to go to Paris. You don't need to be in a relationship to go to Bali. If you have good friends around you and you are purposeful in your life and you are following a life that is aligned with who you are and your being, you will eventually find that person naturally. Sometimes it's just not the right time, and sometimes we need to do healing on ourselves before we could even get to that place where we're in the partnership that we want to be in. Are you where you want to be in this life? Are you feeling purposeful every single day? Or are you believing that this relationship is going to bring you the happiness that you're so deprived of? Because I can promise you, when you turn the happiness outside of yourself, you will always be disappointed. At the end of the day, you are the only person that can make yourself happy. You are the only person that can have all of this love. And a lot of times the love that we're feeling from somebody else is the love that we're feeling inside of us. And that love can be taken wherever you go because it has nothing to do with somebody else and everything to do with yourself. So this video honestly has nothing to do with everybody else, and it has everything to do with you and learning how to love yourself, how to know what you deserve, how to fill your own needs, because at the end of the day, you are in charge of making the decisions to allow somebody to stay or to let somebody go. You are the one in charge of your decisions of what you want your bare minimum to be, what you want your gray area to be, what you want your high standards to be, what you want in your life. And that's what I really want to teach you guys on this channel, is how to take control of your life, because I've always been someone where I felt like everything was out of my control and that there were all these little pieces of the puzzle that I couldn't fix, but really I had the keys to everything the entire time. When you lower standards in your life, you abandon yourself over and over again. When you allow people to stay past their expiration date, you neglect yourself, you neglect your needs, and I can promise you there is nobody on this earth that will hurt you worse than you will hurt yourself. So that is all. I hope you guys like this video, and I will link Mastery of Love on my Amazon storefront down below so you can go get it. I highly recommend literally everyone to read it. I don't think it could be unbeneficial to anybody, whether you're in a relationship or whether you're not in a relationship, whether you're not looking for love or whether you are looking for love, whatever it may be. This book has really changed my life. I know that this is hard. Be patient with yourself. It's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to be able to just flip a switch and raise your standards. It takes a lot of unpacking with your own self and your inner child and your own needs and really learning yourself. And that's not an overnight process either. So be patient. Understand that it's all going to work out, and as long as you get the ball rolling in the right direction, just consider that it'll be done. I swear, my track record with men would send some of you to outer space with some of the freaks I've pulled out of the ether. But you know what? Relationships are hard, and learning yourself is also hard. So we're all just trying our best, and give yourself some compassion, give yourself some grace, but also understand that it is in your control whether you want to do this or not. It is in your control whether you want to heal or not, whether you want to change your appetite in men, whether you want to look at what it is that you really need, whether it is that you want to look at the person that you're with and see, is this person right for me? These are all really hard decisions, and I don't want you to think that this is easy. You know, one night you're going to be like, oh yeah, you know what? I want Chanel bags. Trust me, I wish it was like that. And it's not all about materials, it's not all about money, it's not all about all the superficial things. It's about really being with somebody who you love and who loves you and who can care for you like you need to be cared for and who can love you the way that you need to be loved. I think people can be in love with each other and not know how to love each other right. So there's a lot. I can talk a lot about this, but I'm sure this video is long enough. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. I love communicating with you guys, and I cannot wait to make more videos like this. I really hope this helped, and yeah, that's all. Bye!